So for this week's video, I thought we'd talk about the five things that I learned last year. So the first thing is that I need to get help in sooner. I cannot do this all by myself. I always start the year and I'm on top of my work. It feels good. I think I'm like I feel like I'm riding this wave and it's working, and then all of a sudden I'm drowning. Once the peonies start, not everything's planted. I just feel the weeds are starting to grow. I feel overwhelmed and I can't ever seem to catch up again. And I want this to be number one on this video because I want to remember next year when I'm feeling good and I think I'm on top of all my work that I'm eventually going to feel like I'm drowning, and I don't want to feel that anymore. And I am for sure, I've already told Pauline, she has to come. Even if I don't message her, she just has to show up and make sure that I stay on top of the wave, that I get the dahlias planted on schedule, that my weeds don't get too big. I stay on top of them when they're little, and that I can get things all planted on schedule, on time. And I do feel pretty good about following through on this one lesson that I learned, is because I did actually already apply it this fall. I haven't had Pauline come and help me dig up dahlias, I think, for a few years. And I just called her. I said, please come. She came for a few days, and even just those few days she was here, it allowed me to propel me through my list of fall jobs. And I got pretty much everything done. And I wouldn't have, because winter came way earlier than I thought it was going to, and I would have had stuff not finished out there. So it feels so good to have help in. It made the job more enjoyable, and I got everything done this fall that I wanted to. Okay, so the second thing I learned was kind of a deep dive into selling flowers through a collective. So this year I sold at my farmer's market, but I sold the rest of my flowers through the collective with 7 other growers. So it's my first time doing that. I didn't actually sell hardly any other flowers via the traditional method, how I did with individually messaging florists. So it was all through the collective. So everything went through on the new software program. So it wasn't too hard for me to learn. I've used something similar to that, but I had to upload my product. I think the biggest change for me was having to predict what I was going to have available the following week to sell. And so in the past, they messaged me the Monday or Tuesday, and I would pretty much cut that day or the next day and sell it. So I could just look in the field, but now I had to think a few more days in advance, and that is a little bit tricky to do. But overall, I think I got used to it. I think next year will go a lot better, and I'm excited to try year 2 of the Flower Collective. Okay, so I think the third thing that I learned this year is probably one that I'm most excited about, because it's something that I have tried years ago and then not too much the last few years, but it never came naturally, and it was always a job I thought I'd just leave it for Bob. But he's busy. He can't always help me when maybe it's the best time to help me. And then with his injuries this year, I had to learn how to use the loader tractor, and I am super excited that I figured that out. I know that Bob will still do a lot of it because it's something that he can do in the summer when he's less busy, but I'm happy that I can scoop up compost now, and I'll be able to move compost to the field with the loader, or help fill up the new dump wagon we have, or I can finish cleaning the barn here in maybe February or March if it gets a little bit warmer. It's just one of those, those jobs where you see someone do it and it looks really easy. It has never been easy for me. I feel like my brain and my arm and the loader just never all connected, but I had enough practice this year, and it's starting to make sense, and it's starting to go easier, and I'm just super excited that I can use the loader tractor now. Okay, I think the fourth thing that I've learned this year is kind of in the big, broader picture of my soil health. So I've, last few years, I've gone to almost, fully no-till. I've really tried to dive into a variety of cover crops and use them a little bit more aggressively in the spring and fall. But this year, and it kind of started last year, is I just tried to mulch way more than I ever have had in the past. So I've done a little bit of mulching here or there, but I took every single load of my son's grass clippings that he brought, which is, it was a drier year, so the grass stopped growing as aggressively as other years, but I used it all in my field, and I loved it. And I couldn't believe how fast the grass clippings actually disappeared. So my delphinium I mulched when I planted them as babies in the spring, and by midsummer the mulch was just gone and the weeds started growing. But what a great way to keep weeds down, and the soil underneath those grass clipping patches was like beautiful. It was so beautiful. So I just want to be more aggressive with my mulching, and because of that I use less tarp. I just tarp beds less. I like my cover crops in the spring I mow down, and other years I would put a tarp on and try to just kill it down even more. And this year I just put mulch on. I just put a ton of grass clippings and I planted into it, and the cover crop didn't come through that, and then I just felt like I could turn over a bed even quicker. So it's hard to really explain, but I think I learned a bit more about mulching, how I can be a bit more aggressive with it, and how much I love having lots of mulch in my field. So the fifth thing I learned, and actually I'm still working on, is getting better at taking cuttings, and specifically dahlia cuttings off of dahlia tubers, because dahlia tubers, the new varieties, are so expensive. They're so expensive. And if you want to multiply how many plants you have of a certain variety, and if you can master taking cuttings, you can just do that way quicker. And I actually had success this year. Finally, I was able to get like multiple plants going this year off of a couple tubers. So it took a bit of experimenting. I am still no pro at it. I'm gonna keep working on it, and maybe we'll talk about that this month, the different things I tried. But I'm just excited because I've taken cuttings before. Like this row of shrubs right here is all from cuttings. It's a forsythia that my sister had or still has in front of her house, and so I can take cuttings, but I just want to get way better at it so I have less loss. And I think I want to add in this year like cuttings of, maybe I don't buy in geranium and I just take all my own cuttings, and definitely the cuttings from the mums. They're super easy. I don't think you have to be very skilled to have success with mum cuttings, but I just think I want to learn more and get even better at taking cuttings, especially from the dahlia tubers. So that's it. Those were my 5 things I think I learned this year. It did feel like a year where I didn't dive too deep into too many things. I think, and Bob kept reminding me, it was a busy year because of starting the collective. That took a lot of time. I'm still trying to get better at making YouTube videos, and YouTube videos takes a ton of time. And this year, with Bob getting injured, I just had to refocus a bit on just maintaining what I could manage, because he wasn't able to help out as much. So I didn't dive into learning too many other things, but I'm still happy with what we accomplished and what I did learn, and now it's on video so I won't forget, especially getting help in this coming year, and that will be here before we know it. I'm super excited to start another year of growing. If you have any questions, I'm not doing a ton this month, but I still would like to keep making videos. So if there's something you want me to talk more about, please just put it in the comments, and I will try to answer that in an upcoming video. But thanks again for hanging out with me this week, and I'll see you next time.